6 months ago, we sat down in front of our microphones for the first time and we started talking about mindset, and people actually listened to us. We started hearing, not just from one person, from like dozens of people, some version of the same things over and over again.
You changed how I think about this, but I keep ending up in the same place. Why?
There's a gap. There's a gap between that breakthrough that they're having and then the behavior that they keep exhibiting. If that's you, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. The gap is one of the most documented phenomena in human psychology. The insight can change the map, but the change in behavior requires me to make new roads in my brain. And new roads are built through repetition and not a revelation.
A lot of people stop at the revelation. I got the revelation, so that means I'm there. I got the revelation, so that means, hence the question, that this ought to stick.
Why do I keep coming back to the same breakthrough? We're going to go through 3 things to help you make that breakthrough stick. Every person who's ever felt stuck in their career, their leadership, or their life has one thing in common.
They're one breakthrough away from changing everything.
Welcome to the Breakthrough Bros podcast. I'm Jeremy Flagg.
And hey, I'm Henry Ballard. Between the two of us, we've spent decades coaching individuals and helping leaders navigate mindset shifts that create real, lasting change.
Each episode, we bring you practical conversations designed to sharpen your thinking, strengthen your leadership, and help you move forward with clarity and confidence.
Because sometimes the biggest thing standing between you and your next level
is simply a breakthrough in how you think. Welcome, everyone. Come on back to the Breakthrough Bros. Man,
welcome in.
We are so happy that you're here. And man, I tell you, today's a special episode because 6 months ago we started. Can you believe that, Henry? 6 months ago we started, man. And we sat down in front of our microphones for the first time and we started talking about mindset, and people actually listened to us. Can you believe it?
makes me wonder what took us so long. Why didn't we do this before?
Truth.
You know, we said some things about self-doubt, about resilience, about how failure doesn't have to define you. And it excites me, man. And yet, to be honest with you, it fulfills me to know that people listened.
They did listen. Not only did they listen, but they actually wrote to us, right? Yeah. Quite a few of them. And then we started hearing, not just from one person, from like dozens of people, some version of the same things over and over again.
Yeah, for sure. You know, they'd say, you know, you changed how I think about this. And then, but I keep ending up in the same place. Why? So they're listening, but they're coming with questions as well.
Yeah. And then there's a gap. There's a gap between that breakthrough that they're having and then the behavior that they keep exhibiting. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And the first thing I want to say is, hey, if that's you, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. The gap is one of the most documented phenomena in human psychology. You are well documented, my friends, and we're going to talk about why it exists and what actually closes it on today's episode.
Yeah. But Jay, listen, you know, before we get to question one, and I know we want to dive in, but I'm gonna press you a little bit.
Okay, press me.
You make certain statements that I don't want them to be lost on people.
Yeah.
And so I just feel as though you made one of those statements where you said to them, "You're not broken."
Right.
And I don't want them to kind of speed past that. So just repeat that and maybe unpack it a little, that they're not broken.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that you slowed this down a little. Yeah, I mean, friends, I think we grew up in a Western culture that's obsessed with the idea that it's all right or all wrong, that you're all one way or you're all another. It's all perfect or it's all jacked up and broken, right? Binary thinking, we would call it, right?
Yeah,
Ones and zeros. But in reality, life is much grayer than that. Life is much more flexible than that. And it's not quite the same as we've heard growing up. You know, I grew up in the Christian tradition. I've talked about that before. And one of the things I grew up hearing my whole life was you're a horribly sinful being because you were born into a world of sin. And then I grew up and I realized that the word sin in Hebrew just means to miss the target. It just
Yeah.
means to miss the
Yeah.
mark. Does that mean you stop shooting arrows at your target because you missed the target? No, it means you keep practicing until you get it right. So
Yeah.
it reorients the world to not brokenness, but the idea that we can continue to function in our purpose and get better and better and improve upon ourselves as we grow. So growing is the mindset we want to talk about in general for the last 6 months. If there's anything we've given you, we want to make sure that you understand that we are trying to communicate a growth mindset. In fact, it was Dr. Carol Dweck. If you've never read her book, that's the book where we get this phrase from, growth mindset. She compared the growth mindset to the fixed mindset, and that would
Yeah.
be actually the
Yeah.
perfect AB to Henry's opening salvo here, is that you're not broken. You're just functioning with a fixed mindset. The idea that
Yeah.
it's all or nothing, or always and never, or I
Yeah.
was just born with that. I can't, or I can't play an instrument because I wasn't born to do it. That doesn't make any sense. If you sit down with an instrument and you get a good instructor, you can get serviceable at anything. We
Yeah.
as humans are fascinating growth machines, and what she identified in her book Mindset is that we have the opportunity to grow into anything as long as we have this general posture toward it, which is I can keep learning and I can keep maneuvering and keep growing through the changes, and nothing that happens around me, no failure and no success, is my ultimate form of identity or the ultimate validation of my being. Did that
Yeah.
did that
Yeah.
help at all?
That helped greatly. And before I go to question one, I remember the great Jim Rohn.
Yes,
And
sir.
I heard him say, answer this. He said, someone asked him, how many languages can a child learn? And the answer was, as many as you teach them.
I
As
love
many
Jim. I
as you
miss Jim.
teach them.
Man.
Absolutely. Well, hey, listen, question number one. Now, question number
Yes.
one, it it really echoes a series we did in the past recently. It was the Lies We Learn series.
Yes.
And in that series, we talked about the comeback identity.
Right.
And so this first question really comes from there. And I believe that it'll give us that launching pad to actually answer it. So here's what we received. I feel like I keep having the same breakthrough. I hear it, I get it, and I feel it in the moment. And that's so many people's story.
Yeah.
But this is also, and then a week later, I'm back where I started. So their question is, how do I make one actually stick? So Jeremy, why don't breakthroughs stick?
Just easy questions today on the show. That's good. This is probably one of the most important questions we could have been asked on our show. We are called the Breakthrough Bros after all, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So let me answer it carefully, if I may. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to
Go
feel
for it.
embarrassed, and I don't want anybody to feel like they're posing, right? Like they're faking it, because there is no faking self-improvement. If you're on this path, you're on the right path, and you're on the path of growth, my friends, as we just named before we got into this question. So, and shame, by the way, it just makes the problem worse, right? So the idea that you could feel ashamed for having a breakthrough and then ending up back where you started, I don't want you to feel that way at all. I just want you to feel normal, because that's what we've all dealt with. Me personally, Henry personally, I'm sure all of us have dealt with this exact scenario. So let's start with what's actually happening. First, let's define a breakthrough. Okay? A breakthrough at its core is just an event when you had an insight. You had an insightful event, if you will. Something
Okay.
shifts in the way you understand something. That's all that happened, right? And it might feel transformative because in the moment it is. Your
Yeah.
brain all of a sudden is reorganizing itself around a new reality. And that feels transformative. But the question is it?
Mm. Yeah,
Right?
because that is the question. Because here's the reality that it sounds like, I don't believe it's the same thing, but what it can sound like is behavior change.
In your mind, it might, right? Because I had a breakthrough event and my brain is now going, wow, now I have something new in there. And it's reorienting my whole worldview around something new, a new nugget of information, a new understanding. But I haven't fleshed it out yet. I haven't lived it yet, right? It's an unlived thought. It's an unlived theory, right? So the insight can change the map that I'm working with, but behavior and the change in behavior requires me to make new roads in my brain. Okay. And new roads are built through repetition and not a revelation. I've been hanging out with my
Man,
black preacher friend Henry so
you
long.
know, I
I'm
was
coming up with
thinking
my own
about,
line.
I was thinking about where can I work that into a sermon, really? But
That's a good one.
but man, that's powerful. That
Yeah.
the new roads, they're built through repetition, not revelation, and that's powerful because a lot of people stop at the revelation. I got the revelation, so that means I'm there. I got the revelation, so that means, hence the question, that this ought to stick. But
Yes.
that's not the case.
That's exactly right, man. That repetition, not revelation, right? That's what we're trying to get you. So what we have done on the show is we understand our role in the podcast universe. There's only so much we can do on a podcast. What we can do is give you a breakthrough. We can do that.
Yeah.
We can give you
Yeah.
a new insight. We can give you a new understanding. We can give you an aha moment, a light bulb moment, but we cannot extend it into the repetition, the day after day cycle of building that road in your brain that you have to do, right? Dr. Brené Brown,
Yeah.
she talks about it, right? She calls this gap the knowing and doing gap, right? The knowing doing gap. So you can know something to be true and still not do it. Like that's just being human. Knowledge and habit live in completely different parts of your brain.
Yeah, that's so powerful. And I'm gonna tell you, man, uh, the thought that I just had. You say we've been doing this now for 6 months as of this recording, but the thought I just had really crystallized this for me. That based upon what you just said, and by that I mean this: we are called the Breakthrough Bros. And, even as we fleshed that out and started thinking about it, what are we going to name the podcast and this, that, and the other? And we tossed some things around
Yeah.
because we know there are critics everywhere.
Of
You know,
course.
it's
Yeah.
like you see them more than me because Jeremy looks at more of the comments. I read them, but
Yeah.
Jeremy looks at them more than me. But there are critics everywhere. And one of the criticisms could be Breakthrough Bros. Really? Really? You're really saying that you're going to give people, you are able to give people breakthroughs through a podcast. And the reason why I said that statement crystallized it for me is because, and I'm hopeful that it's doing the same thing for everybody else, that we're not saying that this podcast and what we're doing here is the thing that's going to change everything for you.
Right.
But when you tune in, when you listen, when you watch, we're creating an insightful event
Yes.
that will give you a revelation that you may not have had.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got to take it and now live out the repetition. I just had to repeat that because if we stop right now, this episode done helped me because it clears it up, and I set in what we're doing with a sense of confidence, no doubt, but just a sense of fulfillment that
Yeah, that's good.
if we, Jay, if we play our part and do what we have set out to do,
Mhm.
and then they connect that to what only they can do, the difference is made right there.
You got it, man. The difference
Yeah.
is made right there.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
you're having this revelation. I mean, it feels good. Yeah, like you said, confidence comes from that insight, right? That we can only provide the insightful event. We can only provide the breakthrough as that definition of it. We cannot provide the repetition, the skill, right? The daily walk of behavior modification that has to happen. It's a habit, really, right? So the question becomes for us then, and for the listeners, really, how do we get, because this is really the question, right? Why do I keep coming back to the same breakthrough? Why can't I make this thing work, right? I can't make it stick. So the question becomes, how do I get the insight that I'm having, the breakthrough, to become a new habit, right? So it's going to be three things. We're going to go through three things to help you make that breakthrough stick, right? To help that breakthrough become a habit. Three things. First, name what changed in you specifically. Name what changed specifically. Not, I need to be more resilient, right? That's just a general thought. What exact thought are you trying to replace, and with what? Right? So the more specific I become with a thought that I want to replace, then the more neurologically sticky the idea becomes. Let me give you an example. Back in 2013, I went to see Tony Robbins live. Tony is still doing live events, but they're very few and far between compared to what they used to be. If you get an opportunity to go to one, please go. He is a force of nature. He's been given an awesome gift by God, for sure, to influence the lives of others. But when you're in his presence, you feel his energy. It's like a ball of fire. You gotta go, right? So we were there in 2013, Lisa and I, in Chicago. We got the chance to see him in a smaller, he was like 5,000 people, which is a smaller setting than he's doing now, which is more like 15 or 20,000 people, right?
Right.
But we were in the room with him, and what he had us do is get very specific about three limiting beliefs that were holding us back. And I still remember he got us into a certain emotional state so that our minds were free from judgment and free from all the stuff. And we got ourselves in state, and then we just said it, right? And I remember like saying this very specific thing coming out of my mouth, right? One of the things that used to hold me back was, you're too fat to be successful. People don't want to look at a fat person and listen to their words, right? I used to that used to be in my brain. That was a thought that ruled a good amount of space in my brain. So whatever breakthrough insight I might have had, like, well, Jeremy, you know that's not correct. It doesn't matter. Or even most of the breakthroughs would come when like another overweight person was successful. And then it would like hit this conflict in my brain, like, oh, look, no, that's not true. Right. So I would have a breakthrough of the intellectual kind, but I hadn't made it neurologically sticky because I didn't get specific. Right.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, no, man, that's not true, which is super general, I had to replace the thought. Right. So then I had to get really specific. So for 3 years, I had three thoughts, and this was one of them. Right. And for 3 years, I would say, I can't be successful because I'm overweight. That's a lie, I would say right after it. The truth is, I can be as successful as I want to be because I've been empowered by my creator to do so.
Wow.
I would replace it. And it took me 3 years of daily practice. 3 years. I would literally wake up, I would meditate and pray, and then I would do my out loud. I'd literally do this out loud, by the way, everybody. I live this, all right? If you cannot reprogram your mind with thoughts, you have to do it with your words, because your thoughts have to suspend themselves when you speak. So I would speak the lie, and I would say, that's a lie. The truth is, and I would speak the truth. So I'm going to encourage you. That's the first of three. By the way, I got three things here. I better hurry up. The first of three things, right? Name Name the thing that's bugging you. Name the thing
Yeah.
that's holding you back. And don't and don't make it general, man. Like, oh man, I just don't have enough resilience. No. Be serious about what it is that's making you have less resilience than others. Be specific about that lie that's stuck in your brain, right? This came from the Lies We Learned series, this question, did it not?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is where we are in the timeline of what we've shared with you. You must replace the lie with the truth. That's number one. Okay. Anything to add here, Henry, before we go to number two?
No, sir. Let's get it.
Okay. So number two, create a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
A new behavior needs a new cue, right? A specific moment, a specific situation where you practice the new thought. I just told you what I used to do, right? I used to wake up and I used to go straight into meditation and prayer. And then and I didn't give you my trigger. Here's my trigger. My trigger was I got myself a rebounder, one of those mini trampolines. And I would step on the mini trampoline and I would just gently bounce up and down. I wasn't jumping. I would just gently bounce up and down. And then I would do my truth and my lies and my truth. I would do my replacement statements while I was on the trampoline. I created a physical trigger.
Yeah.
So that whenever I bounce, to this day, if I stand on a rebounder, I immediately think of those three things. I immediately think of those three truths. Immediately. And it re-energizes me.
Is it similar to a mental reset?
Yeah, similar to that. Didn't we talk about that in one of our episodes? Like a reset loop. Yeah, we taught it in April, I believe. The loop though is useless unless you do something with it, right? This is not all thought driven. Like growing has to involve your body because it's all connected. There's a mind and a body and a spirit connection. Yeah. And we've been avoiding it in Western culture because we've been trying to separate everything and analyze everything. In part of our work as Breakthrough Bros is to show you that it's actually the synthesis of those things that makes you the one person that you are. So to synthesize your thoughts, to synthesize with your body and your spirit, those will require some effort. And that's why I'm saying give yourself a cue, right? Give yourself a new cue so that you can encourage your mind to reset. And ultimately, what's the metaphor we're using here? To make new roads in your mind, to make new pathways in your mind, right? So number one, right? To recap, name something specifically and also name the thing you're replacing it with specifically, right? Number two, create a trigger, preferably physical, so that your new behavior has a cue to rapidly build this new road. And then third, repetition.
Repetition.
You don't need more insight. You don't need to hear us again, right? You need to do the reps. I can't build muscle if I don't go to the gym. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Right? You can talk about going to the gym. You can hang out with your friends and have a beer and talk about how they went to the gym and how you keep thinking about going to the gym, but you have to go to the gym, right? You have to practice the new response, the new truth, the new belief, the new thing you're scrubbing your mind with to build that road. And by the way, it's not the old way. The old way of thinking was like 21 days makes a habit. No, it's actually, I believe the most recent science on this was 67 days, but I just say 90 days, right?
Yeah.
Make yourself go 3 months, 90 days before it'll start to feel automatic. You got to go 3 months before you can quit. You can't quit. You got to keep going. People quit after the first week, Henry. You know, like when we're in January and people are like, I'm done. Like, I didn't lose 50 pounds in a week, so I'm done, right? Okay, look, you didn't get here overnight. You're not going to get to the next place overnight. Are you with me?
Yeah.
It's going to feel hard. Are you with me? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember, man, when I lost 70 pounds, I found where I put some of them, but go with me on this. I lost 70 pounds.
Yeah.
And it was about knowing every day I was going, and this was at the beginning of COVID. And I said this, I mean, when people were having their health challenges, going through all that they were dealing with, I
Yes.
said, if COVID was going to get me, it was going to have to catch me from behind. That's what I said.
I love
Because
it.
every
Mm.
morning, it didn't matter the weather, it didn't matter what was going on. I got up. I m- my mental game was I gave myself maybe 1 minute to come up with every reason why I didn't want to do this today.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
after that minute was up, I got up, put on my tennis shoes, and I went
And went
outside.
on.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like
Yeah.
I just didn't allow that. Those thoughts were going to come, but I intentionally said they're not going to stop me. And
Hmm.
so I actually went out and I walked 3 miles a day.
Wow.
Changed my eating habit, but I
Yeah.
walked 3 miles a day. It wasn't a question of what am I doing tomorrow? I'm walking 3 miles. And so I kept that going and didn't feel the need to jump on the scale after day one and say, this is not working. I didn't do that. I probably didn't look, but the next time I looked at it, I probably had lost about 40 pounds.
Wow.
And then I just kept going, man. I just stayed. Somebody asked me, and we're going to move from this. Somebody asked me, what did you do? What was your secret? I gave them I said, it's 3 C's.
Right.
I said, I increased my cardio,
Hmm.
I reduced my calories,
Hmm.
and I remained consistent.
Dang. I think you're going to write the next weight loss book right there, bro.
That's all I did. I mean,
Hit the circuit with those
again,
3 C's. Yeah.
that's it, man. That's it. And so that's what I discovered. I said, if
Yeah.
it, to your point, that's the work. Because the breakthrough, the revelation is the beginning. It's
Yeah.
not the finish line.
You got it, man. It's only
Yeah.
the invitation. It's
Yeah.
the invitation to do the harder work. So what you do with your breakthrough in the next 90 days is the transformation, everybody. That's how you get a breakthrough to stick. I hope we answered question 1 thoroughly enough for everyone.
Yes.
We'll try to be a little more
Question
brief in the next one here.
Question number two. Now,
All right.
question number two, I thought about, when I read it, it's dealing with what we just kind of referenced, actually, the reset loop.
Okay.
It's the resilience, reality that resilience is a skill. And so here's the question that they came with. The reset loop made sense to me. Feel it, frame it, and forward it. That was the reset loop, everybody. Feel it, frame it, and forward it. But here's the question. But I can do the first two. I still can't forward it. What's blocking the last step? So the question is, what blocks the forward it step in the reset loop?
Okay.
That's the question. And I'm telling you, I want to spend some time here because I've been there personally.
Well, have you? Okay.
I just talked about my 70 pounds and that
Yeah.
journey or what have you. And I think it's applicable in so many areas of life. And there's a season where I can identify with what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I can even frame it cognitively and still can't make myself move. Because when I talked about those 70 pounds prior to that, of losing that, prior to that, you kind of alluded to it. We can research with the best of them. I can read the books, check out all the videos, do all of
Yes.
those things, and for a long time, because there was this inaction, if you will,
Mhm.
I thought I was lazy,
Okay.
or I would write it off as fear and criticism or whatever labels I can put on it.
Sure.
But it wasn't either of those. It had nothing
So what do you
to do
think it
with
was,
those.
man? I mean, that's the key. What do you think it was?
Man, and I'm so glad that we deal with what we deal with on our podcast and just be transparent and vulnerable. I think honestly it was grief.
Mm.
It was grief.
Okay.
I was still grieving something that I had not named. And here's what I discovered. You can't forward from a loss that you haven't acknowledged.
Well, there it is. There's the
Yeah.
insight. There's the
Yeah.
breakthrough.
You can't forward it. You can't forward from a loss you haven't acknowledged. And when I talk
Yes.
about grief, I don't want people to reduce grief down to associating it just with death, because sometimes we'll make those connectors. But
Right.
it's loss.
It
So
is
you
lost. Yeah.
can't forward from a loss that you have not acknowledged.
Wow. That's really good, man. And it's actually, it makes sense, right? Why the forwarded step would be blocked in that loop if grief was present. Yeah.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was
Yeah.
thinking I'm back to my threes. I like threes, It's like one of three things is probably happening. I think you just named the first one, the unprocessed loss, the
Yeah.
unprocessed grief of the loss, whatever loss that is. I think in general, we try to skip grieving.
Yeah.
We try to skip that step because our society doesn't really give us space to do so. We think it's immature in ways, I think, is actual judgment on grief. Like, what do
Mm.
you mean you didn't know you were going to lose that job? What do you mean you didn't know you might get divorced? What do you mean you didn't know your dad was going to die? Like, oh, wait, I didn't. It's like, it's not a cognitive issue. It's that I'm literally mourning something that is no longer available to me. Right. And if you
Yeah.
skip grieving, then it blocks your path forward. You got to let yourself mourn what didn't work before you can release it. You got to mourn yourself. You got to mourn that part of yourself that's no longer available before you can
Yeah.
release it and move forward.
Yeah.
All right, does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I feel like we need to set some people free with that first one, because I think that, like I said, our culture doesn't handle grief well. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about when we lose things, how we feel. Men are particularly bad at it. We just don't talk about our feelings at all, and we get divorced from our feelings over time, and we just become robots. The reality of it is, though, that grief can get in your way of moving forward and growing where you want to go, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm glad we said that, and I want you to go to the second one. But
Sure.
as you said, helping and freeing some people today, the grief reality and the loss reality is so profound.
Hmm.
I can think back to Hurricane Katrina 20 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, I experienced the actual grief of death with some family members. But it was the loss of everything.
Yeah.
You know, everything, 4 inches of water on the second floor of the floor of my house. So
Wow.
everything underwater, total devastation. And here's the thing, I was pastor.
Right.
So
You had to be strong for
everybody's looking
everybody
to,
else. Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
And so not having that moment, that time, that space to grieve is a real thing, because you go into functioning how you've always functioned, showing up for others, as opposed to understanding that no, you need to pump the brakes here. And
Yeah.
we have a lot of high achievers, man, who are listening to the podcast and watching by way of YouTube, and I know that this is resonating with them, because you are a high achiever. You're gonna go after it. You're pressing forward, but you have to take the time
You
to
do.
grieve the lost, and that's just the first one. What's the second one, Jay?
Whew. Second one's not easier. It's when you have an identity conflict,
Mm,
right? So
yeah,
that new behavior you're trying to move toward doesn't match the story you're telling yourself about yourself. Right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the story, the mismatch, the conflict between the story about yourself and the direction you want to move in. That's the
mm,
conflict. We call that an inner
mm-hmm,
conflict sometimes, or an identity conflict.
mm-hmm,
So
hmm,
you've reframed the event, but you haven't updated your identity, right?
yeah,
And that's the real issue. And your brain, its function is to protect you and keep you safe and avoid pain. So the brain is trying to protect the identity that's in your psychology currently. So you have a current story
mm,
about yourself. It's going to do everything it can to stay in alignment with that story, even if it's a really
yeah,
painful one, because it's a
yeah,
familiar story. I think that's the
mm,
key. That's exactly what your brain wants to do. It wants to protect you. The problem is it's getting in your way, right?
yeah,
So when there's a
yeah,
conflict of identity, that can keep you from forwarding it, right, in the reset loop. That can keep
Yeah.
you from
Yeah.
doing what you need to do, right?
Okay. Makes sense. So first, the unprocessed grief or
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah, process the
Second,
grief.
the identity conflict.
Right. But by the way, the upshot of that is that you need to tell yourself a new story, right? And by the way, how do you get a new story in you? You repeat it. We just mentioned that in the first. You keep repeating
Yeah.
it to yourself. New stories need to be
Yeah.
repetitive, and you need to repeat them to yourself all the time. All
Yeah.
right. And the
Yeah.
third one's probably the biggest one. You're missing community.
Mm,
You can't do this alone, man.
yeah. Yeah.
We are the Breakthrough Bros for a reason. I've had this podcast idea for a very long time. I didn't have the name, but I had the idea for a long time, literally years. And I would sit back and think, man, there should be like a consortium of coaches or like a group of people. We should all do it together. And it was really hard to get everybody's schedules moving and to get everybody moving in the same direction. I really wanted this, and I'm so happy that you're with me on this journey, my friend, because we are on this thing together. We're showing people that we don't do it alone. Literally, Henry and I, we formed our own tiny community to come together as friends. That's how we came together. We were
Yeah.
growth partners
Yeah.
in our coaching certification. So you can feel a breakthrough alone. You can reframe the way you're seeing it alone. But when you want to forward it, when you want to take action, it's often going to require the accountability of someone else. Someone who sees what you want, who knows where you're headed, who can see you more clearly than you see yourself, who can call a new version of you out of you, who can call a new
Yeah.
version of you forward. That's not a weakness, my friends. That's how we are made. That's how we are built. We are made for companionship. We're made for partnership. We are made for transforming together, not by ourselves.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And so for that person that's listening and yet watching, what's the practical answer for someone stuck at that third step?
Probably the most practical thing would be stop asking the wrong question, right? Stop asking, why can't I make this happen? And start asking yourself, maybe, what am I still grieving? What story about myself am I still protecting? And maybe who in my life is with me right now who can call me forward?
Yeah.
Those are three
Yeah.
questions out of those 3 steps that can honestly help you move forward and help you forward it, right? Like the reset loop wants you to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Awesome, awesome. All right. Question number 3.
All right, number
Now,
3.
question number 3, man, when I saw this one, I'm like, oh yeah, because it's connected to episode 13, the failure as data. And so here's what they said. I've done the comeback review after setbacks, but I keep having the same setback. And what point is the pattern? At what point is the pattern the problem? That's what they're asking. At what point the pattern is the problem, not the individual failure. So I believe what they're looking at is this: same setback, different day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, for people listening, honestly, this is a more sophisticated question than it looks, right? And I'm sure a lot of you have it or some version of it. So it deserves a pretty direct answer from us, I think, right?
Yep. Let's tackle it, Jay. Go ahead.
There's a difference between learning from failure and being trapped by a pattern. Let's separate the two. Learning from failure, being trapped by a pattern. Let's separate them.
Yeah.
The comeback review is what they referenced here. So remember, it's what worked, what didn't work, and what will I adjust moving forward, right?
Yeah.
It's designed for a situational setback. So an after action review is what we based it off of from the military, right? So it's you executed a mission, you executed a plan. It didn't maybe go the way you wanted, or it did. Either way, I'm going to have the review. I'm going to make sure that I extract the data from the actual scenario, from the situation that I was in, right?
Yep.
I get the data, I adjust, and I go for it again. But when the same failure keeps recurring, you're no longer dealing with a strategy problem, which is what the after action review was made for. which is what the
Mhm.
comeback review is made for, to help you
Yeah.
identify something wrong in your strategy, right? If you keep having the same failure over and over again, you're dealing with a system problem, not a strategy problem, right? A system problem. Or another way to say it was a root problem or a source problem. Something upstream from the situation is generating the same result downstream, no matter what you adjust and no matter what tactic you try, right?
Wow. Wow. So what causes that? I think that's what we need to bring clarity to.
Okay. So there's the three most common culprits that might cause this problem, this continual failing in one place, right? First, it's an unexamined belief. I think there's a theme to this episode.
Yeah.
Unexamined beliefs, right? There's a lie running underneath the behavior that keeps recreating the same situation in your life. We talked about this in an earlier question, right? The belief isn't always visible, but it's always operating in the background. And that might be the thing that continues having you end up in the same place or getting the same result. Okay, that's the
Yeah.
first thing.
Yeah.
Second thing I want you to look at is the environment. In the wrong environment, you can have this poor result happen over and over again. You could change your mindset perfectly, but you could still fail repeatedly if the environment that you've put yourself in keeps rewarding the old behavior. Sometimes the situation is the problem, not just your response to the situation, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't know if we need an example of this, but I mean, you just talked about weight loss. If I am attempting to lose weight and I'm in a family situation, I'm sure we've all had this moment where we are watching our intake, we're watching our calories, right? We're reducing our calories, one of your three C's, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
but our family keeps buying little Debbie snack cakes and throwing them into the cabinet. Now I'm aware they're there, right? But it's not a problem as long as I stay, focused. But when you hit me in a moment of weakness, somebody gave me some bad news, maybe I'm emotionally responding to it. I'm hitting, I'm hitting those Swiss cake rolls, bro. You know what I mean? And they're
Yeah.
in the cabinet. They're just waiting for me, right? Sometimes the situation is the problem, right? You have to change the situation. You have to change the environment, right? The kids can have those little Debbies, but you better put them in a lockbox in some other part of the house, right? Or don't tell me that
Yeah.
they exist and keep them in your room. I don't know, but don't let me know that they're around. Are you with me, right? That's a
Yeah.
basic one. I'm just giving a funny,
Yeah. Yeah.
example,
For
but
sure. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I,
All
I
right.
I put it this way. When I was on that journey, and for a year I did plant based. I did no meat, so I've done all the things. But living in South Louisiana, right outside of New Orleans,
Yeah.
um, you know, one year I did great. It's like press through the holidays, November, December. But now, November, December, dude, all bets are off. It's like, it's like when Zena starts cooking from Thanksgiving to
Right.
Christmas with the gumbo and all that, it's like, but your point is so valid. The environment, the environment matters.
It absolutely does matter, man. It
Yeah.
matters more than
Yeah.
people think. That's why we're spending a little time on this step, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the second. And the third, and this is actually a big one. We can often have the wrong definition of success. And that would also mean we have the wrong definition of failure. So
Yeah.
we need to change our definitions of success and failure. If you keep failing at the same thing, it's worth asking. If I were your coach, I would ask you, what is your definition of failure then? What's your definition of success? I mean, it's worth asking whether that thing is actually aligned with who you are. Oh boy, I'm about to say something interesting here. Some recurring failures are your design trying to redirect you onto a different path.
Wow. Wow. That
And
that
that's a breakthrough.
that one, that one. I mean, listen, it's the one. It's uncomfortable to say,
Yes.
but it's so true. It's so true when you think about the definition of failure. And I have to go back to what I shared about every day getting up walking, doing that. My definition of success and failure, my definition of success was, did I walk 3 miles today? Not did I get on the scale and I had lost so many pounds. Not did I controlled what I could. I made sure that the system was in place, that I had a process to follow, and the results really took care of themselves. But
Yeah.
if I would have defined success at what the scale told me on any given day, then I think that would have threw me off. But
I
having
agree.
that definition of success, or a right definition for me in that situation of success, made the difference for me.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's
Yeah.
literally one of the most like freeing things that we can discover on this journey is to change the belief. We can change our belief systems. We can change what we think about things. We can change the definition of things. Everything is malleable. Everything is flexible. And we are the ones who are the agents of our own growth. We can change those definitions. We are the meaning machines, my friend. And we can decide what we want to do moving forward. So the comeback review is powerful, but sometimes what you need is not like a better version of a debrief. It's just a completely different destination altogether.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, we got one more question for this episode, Jay.
Ooh, looking forward to it.
And and it really touches obviously ground that we've covered because people have been listening and they've been watching.
Yeah.
And it deals with the reality that growth is relational.
Okay.
Growth is relational. That's one of the things we tackled in our mindset series. And so here's what came in. You said growth is relational, but I genuinely don't have people around me who want to grow. I genuinely don't have people around me who want to grow. What do you do when the community doesn't exist yet? I can feel Jeremy chomping at the bits on this one. What do you do when the community doesn't exist yet? So what if the community doesn't exist? Because here's what this sounds like to me. It sounds like really the loneliest version of the question. And we hear it a lot. We hear it a
Yeah.
lot because people can feel as though they're out there on their own, they're
Yes.
isolated, they're on this island, or it's just me. So what do you say to that?
Yeah. I mean, we do hear this question a lot. I mean, in general, I think as coaches over the years, we've heard this question a lot as well, right? I'm the only one doing this. What's going on if I'm the only one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to be frank with you, I was the only one for a long time. I'm a cycle breaker in my family. I was the black sheep for quite a while. Um, the find your tribe advice I have found genuinely unhelpful when you're starting from nothing. So you're not going to hear that from us today. Just find your tribe, man. It'll be fine. Just vibe new and you'll vibe with new people. Like, no. It's sometimes you really are starting from scratch. And
Yeah.
and the find your tribe, people assume that there's a community out there for you to find. Sometimes there just isn't, and that's okay, man. That is literally okay. So let's just get into it. I mean,
And I'm
feel
glad,
like,
but I'm glad you
go ahead.
said that.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but I'm glad you said that
Yeah.
because I've heard it. I've heard it from preachers. I've heard it from nonprofit leaders. I'm looking for I'm looking for my tribe. I just got to find my tribe. I'm like,
Yeah.
and how long you been? And how long you been looking? How long you been on this quest?
Yeah.
And so there has to be a different perspective, a different paradigm. So what's the real answer, Jay?
I mean, a few things, right? I mean, if the community doesn't exist, then first you build it by becoming the kind of person others want to grow with. This is identity work now, right? So now I'm working on my identity. When you're actively growing, when you're actively changing, when you're actively talking differently, thinking differently, choosing differently, you become a signal that gets sent out into the universe and you start attracting people who are doing the same. And here's the key. You might not attract them into your proximity because you live in a certain location. But we are not limited by location in 2026. You have
Sir.
access to the World Wide Web of the whole world. People
Yeah.
can be attracted to you in other ways now, through other wavelengths and through other means. So you can start attracting people doing the exact same thing by just starting to do the work on your own. Okay? That's the first thing. Okay? Second, start smaller than you think. You don't need a whole community. You really just need one person, man. We are literally living proof of this. We only
Yep.
needed one person to help us grow into the coaches that we have continued to become since we were partners all those years ago. One person who is honest with you, one person who wants more for their life and that you want more for yours, and then you guys want the best for each other. One person changes literally everything. Remember that communities grow from ones that came together, right? That's
Yeah.
it. Communities grow from ones, right? And
Yeah.
one more, I actually maybe have 4 things to add to this one. All right. Because I feel like, okay, you can't see this because of my shot, and I wasn't able to put all these into my shots, but I have my wall behind my screen, behind my camera, is covered in books. Covered in books. You know, sometimes what you're attracting to yourself is the wisdom of the ages, the wisdom that people have written down for you from other locations and other times and other spaces in human history. You know, like you can have your own little mental community of growth as well. When you don't have physical people, you can have books, and you can create more empathy in yourself by reading fiction novels and putting yourself in the character's shoes. You can read nonfiction and learn what people have learned about personal development over time, or learn about themselves. Memoirs, biographies are some favorites of mine, right? When you can read what great leaders have accessed in their own minds to make difficult decisions. Do you have anything to add here before we go to the third thing I'm thinking?
I know in my own life, and I know you, so it's probably similar, that when I think of community, and I'm thinking specifically about mentors, that I've had more mentors in print than I've ever had in person.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I've had them in print more than I've ever had them in person. And that speaks to your point, not limiting yourself to just where you are. You know, you have the whole world, as they say, at your fingertips. And although I did meet him, I was on a call with him and talking about the great Les Brown, and actually had a conversation with him and was able to ask him a question, and we dialogued around some things. But before that meeting, I could still say, you know what? Here's what Les Brown said to me. Now, he didn't say it to me in person, but he said it to me in print. And I was able to glean from that. Now I can say he said it to me in person and in print, you know, so I'm not name dropping, but if there's a name to drop, you know, I think Les Brown is a good one, you know.
It's not over until you win. That's right.
Look, you got to be hungry. Go ahead.
That's right.
Les, if you heard this, Breakthrough Bros, come on the podcast.
Come on, bro.
On the podcast.
You're like the ultimate breakthrough bro, man. He'd give us like so much fuel. We'd have like clips for days.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, let's get the
don't
third
discount the community of the people around you that you do not know personally, that have taken the time to share their wisdom with you on paper, right? Wisdom of the ages is written on pages. I say that to my kids all the time. They still don't read enough, but you get my point, right? All right. So the last thing I was thinking that could help you with this question is, when you don't have a community and you don't have any people that you're growing with, you might need to go where it's happening.
Yeah.
I did this a lot when I was on the first part of my journey. Go to a class, go to a workshop, go to a coaching program, go to a church, go to a gym. Growth communities form around shared activities, not shared intentions. Okay. So go where the activity is happening. You've got to be somewhere that growth is actually happening, not just talking about it. I mean, I actually I talked earlier about how I went to see Tony Robbins in 2013. I mean, when you're on a certain type of path, you want to go to where that place is happening. When I connected with those people at a Tony event, I still have those connections in social media. I still have some of those people I check in on all those years ago because we made a strong connection with each other because we're all heading in the same direction. You know, don't discount that opportunity. It's a really good one.
Hey, and listen, everybody, Jeremy and I, actually met because we were both in environments where growth was expected.
That's a good point.
And that did not happen by accident.
No, it did not. And I'll say to some of you listening that you're going to have to build the table. You're going to have to build this community table before you get to sit at it. So if the community isn't there, maybe you're the one that needs to create it. Maybe you're the one that's meant to create it. That actually that actually indicates something that Henry and I have been working on for you. We'll just tease it a little bit, but in the fall, we're going to show you the table that we've been building. We're going to show you the community-driven environment that we've been making and welcome you into it because we want to create the table where everyone can sit and learn and grow together with us, and you can all share in breakthroughs together as a community. So keep your eyes peeled, keep your ears open. Something new is coming your way. We're just seeding that little thought here at the end of the episode.
Yes. Stay tuned, stay close, stay connected. Hey, listen,
that's right.
Before we go, we always like to give you your breakthrough challenge, challenge. So here's the breakthrough challenge for this episode. I want you to take the one breakthrough that you've had this year that felt real in the moment that you had it, but didn't stick. And I want you to write down 3 things. Number 1, what specific thought are you trying to replace? And what are you going to replace it with? So I'll give it to you again. What specific thought are you trying to replace and with what exactly? Here's the second thing you need to write down. When are you going to do it? That's that trigger piece. When specifically will you practice the new response? What's the trigger? Jeremy talked about his standing on the small, what you called it, Jay? Trampoline? Rebounder. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's sophisticated. Where I grew up, it was a trampoline. But anyway, so what specifically will you practice? And when are you going to do this new response? What's the trigger? And then here's number 3. Who is the one person that you can tell about this so they can hold you to it? That's the accountability piece. That's the growth fostering piece. Who is the one person that you can tell about this so that they can hold you to it? Now you don't just have the breakthrough again. Go back and listen to the questions that you've heard today. Don't just have the breakthrough again. No, build the road you can travel to your success.
That's good, man. Everybody, what a great episode. Next week, we're going to go even deeper into some of the questions that arose from all of the work that we've done in the last 6 months, particularly from the feminine and masculine identity series we did, the Azir and Zakar, content from May and June. Henry, do you want to tease the next episode?
Yeah. In these 6 months, you've heard Jeremy talk about this on episodes. He has referenced his story, but he's never really told the full story. So you're going to hear Jeremy tell his full story, the one he's referenced on the show, without really giving us all the details. And that was about the firing. When he was fired and fired from being a pastor. So you really need to hear the details of this, because here's what he's going to share with us. And I'm looking forward to it. What it cost, what it built, and how it formed the man he is today. So, hey, that's next week.
That's next week, everybody. Don't miss it. So let's recap today's breakthrough concept for you and let you get out of here. Insight opens the door, right? Remember, a breakthrough is an insightful event. It can open the door. But repetition is what builds the roads. Repetition is what builds the roads you can travel to your success. If you want the breakthrough to last, stop waiting for the next revelation and start building your daily practice.
Absolutely. Your thinking changed. Now you have to let your behavior catch up.
That's awesome. Thank you, everybody, for spending part of your day with us. We're always grateful when you choose to grow with us.
Hey, and if this episode added value to your life, I often say this, that when it comes to questions are what's informative for one is informative for all. So even with individuals writing in and giving us their questions, it may have been a question that you were thinking. And here's why I'm telling you that. I want you to send in your question, leave your review, share with us what you're wrestling with, what turn the light on for you, because somebody else might be thinking the same thing and you can gift that to them. So, hey, if this has added value to you, I want you to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.
That's right. And don't forget to head over to our website, thebreakthroughbros.com, to subscribe to The Breakthrough Brief, our weekly newsletter for leadership, relationship, and personal growth delivered straight to your inbox every single Friday morning. Don't miss out.
Every Friday, everybody. And listen, remember your breakthrough. Revelation, not the repetition.
That's right.
The revelation, that insightful event, your breakthrough is closer than you think.
We'll see you next time, everybody.